Yeah, so really nice homemade mac and cheese. With a little crispy breadcrumb on top. Then on the side is going to be a little seared scallop, cauliflower, and pea shoot salad situation with a little bit of a sherry reduction, which is what I'm working on right now. So this is basically, it's just sherry vinegar, one garlic clove, a bay leaf, some peppercorns, a little bit of sugar, and just cooking that down until it gets like kind of a syrupy consistency. So that'll go just kind of over the scallops to kind of cut the fat and sweeten the scallop a bit with a bit of that acidity. Yeah, so I guess the first thing to do is start building the roux and everything, like the basis of the mac and cheese. So I already have water on for pasta, just kind of hanging out. I don't think this is going to be big enough, but we'll just go back into the big pot when I'm done. So building a roux is basically the foundation of most like really cheesy sauces. So it's basically just cooked butter and then flour to get like a nice thick emulsion going. But we're gonna jazz ours up a little bit with some garlic, some onions. Actually, we'll go shallots, I think. Yeah. Nice fresh clove of garlic, a little bit of shallot. Yeah, the more garlic, the better. I mean, I like the cheese to do the talking in mac and cheese, you know? But if you're super into garlic and you want to make it happen and throw a bunch of garlic in there, that is absolutely 100% okay. So just melting butter. I should have saved the paper for this. I'm a stupid boy. Alright. And since we're not going to be straining this at all, we're going to make sure that the garlic is really kind of fine. Nice mince. Get all that goodness in there. And I always like to have a little plastic dough card on me for this kind of stuff. So whenever you're reducing vinegar, you want to be really careful about the temperature that you use, because it has a tendency to scorch really badly. Because there is some sugar content in vinegar because it comes from usually wine, in this case sherry. So there's quite a large sugar content. So just be really careful when reducing vinegar, and just like nice and low and slow is the way to go. So this is shallot. If you've never used shallots before, it's kind of a mix between onion and garlic. It's a little milder than an onion, but it has like that kind of sweetness that you get from garlic. And I absolutely adore shallots. I think they should be in everything. They are very good. They are very, very good. Alright, so this guy's going. And since we're infusing a lot of flavor into this butter, we want to keep that temperature low too, so that the butter doesn't burn. The milk solids, you know, have a chance to burn if the temperature's too high for too long. That's how you get browned butter, which is delicious in its own right, but not here. We're not using browned butter today. So I do want there to be a little bit of a shalloty texture to this mac and cheese, so I'm going to use quite a bit of shallot. apart. Cool. I'm gonna do a very hacky move that most chefs would scream at you if you did, but I'm at home, it's my kitchen, I don't care. Alright, so we'll just let that cook until all that delicious garlic and shallot is incorporated into the butter, and then we'll add a bit of flour, and then we'll thicken it. So flour and then milk, or half and half in our case, will begin to thicken into very nice creamy sauce, and then we put in the cheese, and it'll be good to go. Sounds like The Walking and Daisy, yeah. 2 ounces of butter? Yeah. As far as weights go, probably closer to 3, but it's quite a bit. So the vinegar is starting to kind of thicken up and get sweeter. It's not quite as sweet as I want it to be though. So we'll just add a little baby's hand of sugar. A little bit more sugar. There's already some in there, but alright. So go ahead and season this guy with some salt. And I love pepper in mac and cheese. So hefty bit of pepper. That'll get nice and toasted in the butter. That kind of helps bring out some of those more floral notes in the pepper. I did a terrible job on slicing that shallot, Jesus. I know to put it this. So yeah, we're almost getting to the point. We're almost getting there. So then I'm going to tip the pan and just reduce it like this so it reduces a little bit slower. Because the more volume you have in one place, the slower it's going to reduce. And the slower, usually the slower a reduction, the better it is. More time for the bay leaf and the garlic and the pepper to infuse. Just, you know, a better end product. Yeah, Twitch is really bad lately. It's been completely devouring all of my messages to like every stream that I watch. So let's talk about the pasta. So we're going to be using congili. I don't know if you guys can read that. Congili. In Italian is just shells. So instead of using elbow macaroni, hello. It sits there perfectly for like a minute and a half, and then all of a sudden, no? Fine. Alright. Super close. I think we're just going to turn that off. Let the residual heat do the rest of the work. Right, so congili is just shells. So instead of just macaroni, going with a little bit thicker, a little bit thicker of a pasta. I like it a lot because it holds a lot of sauce, like in the elbow parts. So it looks a little bit different, but yeah. And I would have made fresh pasta, but for this you need an extruder, which like pushes the dough out of a die, and I don't have that. So we'll do fresh pasta at some point though. I love making pasta. I did it as a job for like a year of my life, so I like it. It's very therapeutic. It's very therapeutic to make pasta. Usually, like, the pasta guy at a restaurant comes in very early, kind of like the bread guy. Comes in very early, kind of has his own little space, sets up, just you know, starts making the dough for the next day usually. You get into this rhythm where you just like, you know, you're always either like clipping pasta or changing dyes or, you know, moving things from the racks, and I don't know. It's really nice to do. All right. That is smelling absolutely delicious. Flour. Do. Oh boy. This'll be enough, right? Maybe? Yeah, definitely will be. Alright, so by this time, the butter is almost browning, but everything, you can see the shallots and the garlic have softened up and, you know, become very aromatic. So we're just going to go ahead and you want enough flour to soak up all the butter. This is what's going to be, this is going to give that nice, thick, rich, like creamy texture to the finished sauce. So this is called a roux, and this is a very basic cooking, a basis for a lot of sauces with the introduction of dairy. So spelled R-O-U-X. Roux. So I could stand a little bit more flour. It's a little loose. It's probably good. So a roux should be quite thick. You can see, it should be like a paste almost. And then depending on what sauce you're making, you can cook the roux for a very long time. Like gumbo uses like a black roux, so it's this exact thing that is usually roasted in the oven for a very long time until it's a very, very, very dark brown color. But since we're doing mac and cheese with yellow cheese, well, a combination of Edam cheddar and just like a kind of a milder yellow cheddar. So this is an Edam. I don't know what this is, but it's a really sharp white cheddar. I like to kind of have the two cheeses together. Something about sharp cheddar. I don't think you could have a mac and cheese with all sharp cheddar. It would just be way too crazy. But you know, the addition of a little bit is quite nice. All right. So this can cook for a second. Hungarian flour? I don't know. I mean, it's probably just completely sourced from Hungary, like Hungarian wheat. I don't know. I don't work with flour that much as far as being a baker and any of that, so I don't really have the knowledge base to let you know. All right. So now comes the dairy, the good part. Grab a little whisk situation. So I'm using half and half. And you notice I don't have anything measured out because something like this, I don't know. I'm sure there's a ratio somewhere of like how much roux to how much milk and how whatever. It's something so easy and like kind of foolproof that you can eyeball it every time and it'll come out delicious. So I'm going to go about halfway up, and then we'll see. We'll kind of see after the flour cooks out into the milk and see how thick this gets. And then be very mindful of the temperature. Since it is dairy, it can scorch very, very easily, and burned milk tastes absolutely terrible and would like ruin the entire thing. So, all right. While we're kind of dealing with this guy, let's go pasta. Let's go to pasta time. So, you might say, "Dang, Cam, that's a lot of water," and it is. But anytime you boil pasta, you want to have a lot more water than you think is necessary. Because the worst thing for pasta would be throwing all the pasta in, and then it immediately loses the boil and just kind of sits there and like simmers. That's gonna give you mushy, like just terrible mouthfeel. So always use a ton of water. A light amount of salt. I worked for an Italian chef that said you want to make the pasta taste like the ocean, but for me, I always find that, especially with mac and cheese, because cheese has got a very high salt content. That's probably not the case. Like a lighter pasta dish, like I don't know, something with like a nice olive oil on it. What you'd want to season the water a bit heavier, just to give the pasta some more flavor. But when you buy good pasta, it's gonna taste like the dough. I mean, it's gonna taste good anyways. And there's usually salt in the pasta dough, or should be. So that's my rant about seasoning the water. All right, so we're going full blast on this, and I'm actually we're gonna cook all of this. There's also a ton of different like myths and tricks, like as far as like putting a spoon across the pasta, like putting olive oil on the top, and that's just when the pasta starts to cook. It releases some starch, and that'll thicken the water, and it'll bubble up. Olive oil will help dissipate the bubbles. Same with the spoon. The bubbles will run into the spoon across the top of the pot, and then it'll dissipate really quickly from there. Oh, this is all kosher salt. So everything I use is kosher salt. I just didn't want to dump like most of this into there, and then I'd have to refill it anyways. So. All right. Yeah, you can see this now. Nice and syrupy. It's coating the bottom of the pan. So actually, I should heat this back up and then pour it out into something else. Best kitchen tool ever is a small strainer. Something that fits in like a bowl that you want to, reserve sauce in. Such a good purchase. Everybody should have ones. Alright, so this stovetop isn't that powerful, and that's why this is not coming back to a boil very rapidly. So I'm kind of eating my own words right now, but we'll get there. Alright, so this is heated up. We'll just strain it through here to get all the peppercorns and the garlic and all that stuff out of there. Really sweet. It's still got a bit of the bite from the vinegar, but that's the idea. So on like a nice like fatty rich scallop, it's definitely gonna offer a nice way to cut that flavor. So then we don't want the roux or the milk to stick to the bottom. So I gotta be pretty mindful about stirring this guy often. All right, you can see it's already getting pretty thick, which is nice. And I doubt the flour's even cooked like a third of its way to full thickenedness. And this is the point you can start tasting this and kind of, Mm. Really nice garlic flavor. Definitely the shallots come through. So rich. God damn, half and half. God dang. God dang. What's up, Cowman Bull? How are you, dude? Yeah, look at how thick this is getting. I think so. What we'll do is the cheese is going to thicken this up quite a bit too. So I'm actually going to let it down with a bit more half and half until the flour is fully cooked. All right, and then we'll get ready to deal with our pasta. Alright, so I'm just grabbing a bowl and a colander. And, yeah. When the pasta's cooked, we're just going to go right into the colander and then into the bowl with a little bit of the pasta water, a little bit of olive oil, give it a nice toss, and then reserve it until the sauce is done. So what this is basically now is called a bechamel. It's basically just roux and milk thickened until it's a nice this consistency. So this would be what you would get on like a ham and cheese sandwich in France called a croque monsieur. Would usually have a nice like draping of bechamel sauce, maybe an egg on top. And then from here, I mean, you can add whatever kind of cheese you want. You can flavor this however you want. You can make it a little bit spicier, like. I don't mean like chilies. I mean like nutmeg, allspice, cinnamon, a little bit of cinnamon maybe. Some bay leaves would have been really good in here. But like I said, I want the cheese to be the main focus. So just going nice simple flavors. What's up, Brooksy? Alright, so it's been this thick for a little while, so I think all the flour is cooked in, and that's about as thick as we're going to get. So now comes the delicious part, where we turn this from a bechamel into a Mornay sauce. And Mornay sauce is basically bechamel with cheese. That's all it is. I have to turn this guy down. Alright. No, don't scorch the bottom. Oh, I hear you. Stop scorching. Thank you. I'm gonna need a little bit more dairy to kind of get this party started. And you can just go all in. Cheese, especially cheddar, is very good at melting and becoming like a very nice homogeneous mixture. So as you stir and as it heats through, the cheese it'll melt itself. So you don't really have to add it in batches or whatever. You can just go for it. Chili powder in bechamel? Yeah. I mean, you can literally do anything with it. Like it's a vehicle for whatever you like. I just happen to like this way of making mac and cheese sauce. So, all right. And since we're adding even more dairy and stuff into this, we got to be even more careful about burning this, because burnt cheese tastes worse than burnt milk, and burnt milk is terrible. So. So this is what I was talking about with the sharp cheddar. It's very like in your face, right? But it's not cheesy enough, if you know what I mean. Like it's not cheesy enough. So that's why you get the mild like yellow stuff, which just tastes like it tastes like cheese. It'll also make it a brilliant color. So. Gonna add about a little more than the white cheddar. And again, this will melt itself really nicely. All right. So the pasta's been going for a little while. Grab the old slotted spoon. Properly, okay, so if you buy dried pasta, perfectly cooked pasta, it'll have a little bit of density. It'll feel pretty dense and chewy, but it won't stick to the back of your teeth or like in your molars. That's that and rice. That's how you know it's cooked, but not overcooked. Screw it. I think we're gonna go all the cheese. I think it's gonna need it. Not all, but a little bit more. Needs a lot more pepper too. You don't want. I mean, I don't want this to be like spicy mac. Because if I wanted spicy mac, I would just throw a bunch of sriracha in it. But it should have some warmth to it, you know. That's definitely where like some of the depth of food comes from, is just little steps like salt and pepper, just making sure it tastes, you know, it tastes good instead of like maybe kind of bland. Salt and pepper can entirely change a dish based on the amounts you use. So I mean, obviously salt especially, but so that pasta, from when I tasted it, probably another minute and a half or two. So we're getting pretty close. I'm just checking on these guys. So these are pea shoots. My mom actually helped me pick these earlier. So got a whole bowl full. We're just gonna make a nice little vinaigrette to toss these in, and they're gonna go kind of over the scallops as well. I was just seeing how those were doing, and I wanted to eat some because they're delicious. What do you mean? I'm onto you, Geeky. I'm onto you. Alright. God damn, that is so good. A little bit more. And so, yeah, like I said, you could make this into like a spicy mac. You could throw like sambal sauce, a garlic chili paste, like kind of what you can take it any direction. Like whatever you like to eat, throw it in, and that'll be good. All right, let's deal with this pasta now. Woo! That is hot. All right. So, I would normally say get as much of the water off of the pasta as you can, but because it's pasta water and it's going into macaroni and cheese, so it has starch in the water and it's gonna help thicken up, you know, the sauce and whatever you do with it. So it's not necessary that you get all the water out of the pasta. So, what I do for pasta that I know I'm going to use in a sauce later on. In a restaurant, I would never do this. I would never cook pasta ahead of time. But mac and cheese is a little different because it's not the integrity of the pasta is kind of lost in the deliciousness of the sauce. So I just toss in a little bit of olive oil. And then you can just kind of let it hang out. Sup, Nitch? Alright, dude. So once this is like thick and everything's incorporated, you don't need to cook it anymore, really. I mean, everything's cooked into it. You don't really gain anything from cooking it anymore. So I think I made enough for this entire bit of pasta. Give it another little Dynamite. All right, so I really like a baked mac and cheese. So ages ago, my sister, who's a ceramic potter and an artist in Seattle, made these guys, and I love these, like, for like a nice, like, you know, comfy bowl of mac and cheese is like the perfect vessel. So I'm just gonna spoon the sauce over the noodles, and then we're gonna go right in here and then into the oven to keep warm, and then we're gonna make a nice like breadcrumb mix to put on the top and get that nice crispy breadcrumb situation going on. So this guy can go off. I'm making a mess, but I don't care. And then this, and just go everybody in the pool, everybody in the pool party. There we go. This guy over here. I love that sound of the shells like absorbing all that cheese. Just so just stir, I mean, pretty vigorously to get, you know, a nice coating and as much of that sauce into the shells as you can. So yeah, I mean, it could have been a little bit more sauce, but I think we're gonna be all right. All right. So now I wish this was in a pot so I could hold it properly instead of like this. And I'm making 3 portions because every time I do this, I cook for my parents. So if you're wondering why I'm making so much, that's why. And I'm going to take some home to my roommates because I love them and they're very nice people. That'll be my dad's. Wow, it's only been half an hour? Cheese and Christ. Cheese and... Yeah. Cool. So this came out really well. I really like how this is going. I haven't made mac and cheese in a long time, but maybe now I'll make it like every day. Like if I could just have this for lunch every day. Ugh. I wish you were all here. It's so good. Alright, so maybe a tiny bit of olive oil. I really like olive oil in this situation. Kind of helps it not dry out from the oven. So just low oven, 200 degrees. Just to kind of bake it together, you know. Alright, breadcrumb situation, and then we'll get going with the scallops. And the cauliflower. Shoop, 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 shoop. We're going to... Sorry about all that noise. That other part of the butter stick, just going to melt this down. And we have some panko breadcrumbs, which are Japanese breadcrumbs. Interestingly enough, I just watched a video about how they make these. So it's this specific bread that they make in the Japanese bakeries. And they dry it out on these big racks, and then they have like this perforated mesh, and there's these machines that just like scrape the bread down these grates in this mesh, and it creates like these flakes. So it's not necessarily bread crumbs, and you can see that it's not like they smushed up a bunch of bread. It's like shaved bread, if that's a thing. It is a thing. I made it a thing just now. Calm down, butter. We're just melting you. What's your deal? Alright, so season the butter a little bit, salt and pepper. And this is just going to go, we're going to mix this into the breadcrumbs to give it some fat so it can actually sit in the oven and bake a bit. So we'll need a bowl, of which we don't have any. Screw it, we're gonna go into here. Alright. So the oven's warm. We'll broil them at the end to get like that really crusty, like nice bit. But for now they're just baking away. Cauliflower. Let's situate that real quick. So we're gonna kind of do this. Actually, we're gonna do the cauliflower and the scallops kind of at the same time. So I always cook scallops in a cast iron pan because cast iron is literally the best thing to cook with in the whole entire world as far as like material goes. It holds heat really nicely. After it's been like used a few times, it gets a nice like seasoned layer on it. Where it's kind of like a non-stick pan at that point, but without any of those like weird chemicals that they use to make non-stick pans. See you later, Cowman Bull. Thanks for being here, dude. Oh my God! Stop it. This pan is maybe the worst thing in the entire world. It's like, it's so thin. This is like the lowest that this stove will go and still like almost burning the butter. So thirsty. Went out for my girlfriend's birthday last night and got a little, maybe partied too much, I don't know. I'm not hungover, I'm just very, very thirsty. Like all day. It was fun though. I went to this new bar in town that opened in August, and they have like, it's a cocktail place, and it's seriously like some of the best drinks I've ever had. Like on par with like New York City and San Francisco, I swear. It was awesome. Alright. Breadcrumbs. You need quite a bit. Alright. So this should kind of look like the roux from earlier. Like everything should be like kind of coated. Should thicken up a little bit. Just, you know, because the butter's kind of glomming onto everything, and but you just want everything to, you know, be nice and stuck together. It's good. A little salty, actually. It's gonna be okay. All right, so I'll just put these in the oven as well. Kind of get that like toasty roasted situation going. So pan's heating up for scallops. You guys gonna be ready to eat in just a little while, like 5?
Oh, well,
15.
We better take some for a while.
Right then. Okay. Right. So pan's heating up. So, just cleaning all these terrible, terrible parts off of this very nice white cauliflower. That guy can go away. And then the easiest way to core a cauliflower is just take your knife and kind of just follow the core around. Should come out like a nice little cone. Parents are taking the dog for a walk, so if you hear any dog noises, that's that's the deal. And I don't know. I haven't really decided how I want to like cook this yet, but I think what I'm gonna do is take some of these, like these big guys, and just cut them in half. So you have nice flat sides that you can throw down in a pan. You can also save like the cauliflower stems and stuff. This is really good cooked in milk and then pureed into like cauliflower soup. Very good. All right. So then with the rest of these, I really like crispy like little cauliflower bits. You know, like super caramelized little bits of cauliflower. So I'm gonna try to get some like smaller guys into this situation as well. Okay, so that's the deal with cauliflower. Super easy peasy. Yeah, there's a lot of awkward stuff going on. Alright, start this pan. Alright, so that's smoking hot. We don't want it that hot for scallops, so we're just going to kind of let it coast to a nice even temperature. And then we're gonna rip some cauliflower real quick. So canola oil has a very high smoke point, higher than olive oil. Oh my god, what is the deal with that? What's up with that? What's up with that? Nice even coat on the bottom of the pan. Even though it's nonstick, oil obviously always helps evenly cook things. So even though if it doesn't stick to the pan, that's not the entire idea of oil. It's to nice like coat things and help transfer the heat into the item. All right. Show flower. Look at this mess. Look at this mess that I made. I'm the worst. I haven't been using these enough. I really should. Alright. Yeah, so now you can see the syrup that we made earlier is like really glossy, super thick, really tasty. It's gonna go quite nice on some scallops. More water, because I'm gonna die if I don't. No, my parents totally get what this is. They understand that it's like live broadcasted to, you know, basically whoever wants to watch. They get it. They know. So yeah. Nobody saw that. It's definitely not the best mac and cheese in the entire world, but pretty good. Alright. Let's pan should be ripping by now. So, with all these flat pieces, that's exactly why we did this, so that I can put them just flat side down in the pan and get a really nice sear on. So this is still on very high heat, because as you're adding cold things to the pan, it obviously brings down the temperature of the whole pan. Sorry, I'm like getting all stuffy for no reason. Oh, it's probably because I'm eating a shitload of cheese. So you want to keep the heat really high when you're adding things to the pan, and then change it later. As far as, like, you know, if you're burning it, like, obviously lower the heat, etc., etc., etc. So we're gonna throw these guys in a little bit, just kind of let those, the pieces that are already in the pan, let them sear up real nice. And this actually looks like it could do with a little bit of oil. So now, since we're not, I don't know, the olive oil is going on top, so olive oil is fine right now in that. That is a very, very hot pan. Good, good. And salt will start to draw out some of the moisture and help the cooking process along. So always salt in stages, or season in stages rather. If you season everything in the beginning, you may overdo it. If you season everything at the end, it's just going to taste like salt. It's not going to taste like seasoned food. It's just going to be salty, and that's not what you want. Thermal paste on them. What? What are you talking about? Alright. So just going to scoot those guys over. And then, since these aren't really flat necessarily on any given side, just cook them like that. So it sounds like the heat can go down just a notch. Go like medium-high. A little pepper. Yeah, nice color on these guys. And then a little bit more oil because we added more cauliflower. And then we'll go with a, what makes extra virgin, it's the first press. It's the first press of the olives. So you usually get 2 or 3 presses out of each harvest of olive, or, you know, or each batch. But extra virgin is just the very first one. It's the most pristine. It's the cleanest tasting batch of olive oil. Alright. I'm actually going to throw a little butter in there. Yummy butter. Makes everything better. Alright. So the scallops are probably going to take 4 minutes tops to cook. So pretty much everything needs to be ready to go by the time you start cooking the seafood. So, show you guys these awesome scallops. So these are from Massachusetts. They look really clean. Always take these out of the fridge and put them on some sort of paper, like paper towel. The side down that you want to cook. It'll dry out some of that moisture and it'll get a really nice sear on them. And then just check to see that these little adductor muscles are cleaned off. It's called the foot of the scallop. Just make sure that those are taken off because they're very tough and disgusting. A lot of scallop dishes in restaurants will have a a sauce that those would go into, like a nice like sometimes a broth or whatever. But you can use them. You just can't really eat them, so they can be used to like flavor other things. All right, I'm gonna deal with the breadcrumb situation. I kind of have to stall too because my parents just took the dog for a walk, and I don't think they're gonna be back in the next like 10 minutes, so I really have to kind of stall. This is why I put these serving vessels on this tray. You can kind of be messy with the breadcrumbs, and it's easy to transport them in and out of the oven, very efficiently. So. Nice color on those. Back to the oven you go. What's up, Sherlock? No, I'm saying the scallops are only going to take at max 5 minutes to cook. So, my parents are nowhere to be found, so I just have to wait. Maybe. I can just start heating the oil in this guy too. Okay, canola oil. And I'm going to use that last little pat of butter to finish our scallop. Well, we'll go part of that pat of butter. It's a lot of butter. Butter's delicious, but there can also be too much butter in one thing. Amazingly enough. I didn't think it was possible, and then I had it. So we're just gently rotating this so everything cooks evenly. It smells delicious. And I don't know. I just like... If I'm going to do roasted cauliflower, then it's just going to be roasted cauliflower. It's not going to have onions or garlic or anything. I really like that nice, like, roasted, toasty cauliflower taste. So, for those wondering why I'm not putting any onions or garlic or spices or herbs. Well, the deal is, like, our family's always been, like, whoever cooks doesn't clean that night, so I get away with making a gigantic mess. But I usually help out because I'm a nice guy, or I'm somewhat nice, I guess. How long is it safe to keep scallops at room temperature? I mean, you can leave them at room temperature for like an hour and a half even probably, but as long as you cook them within an hour and a half. So don't, you can't, like, I can't leave these out and then just put them in the fridge and that's not going to be okay. Like, that's definitely cook and eat them after they've been at room temperature. Don't go back and forth in and out of the fridge. Yeah, I just covered my CPU in olive oil. It's cool, right? I mean, then the heatsink I just stapled the heatsink to it, like, right? Yes. No. I want this one. Alright. It doesn't need anything else. A little bit of salt. That's gonna do it. That's really good. Super good. Another really cool way to cook cauliflower is to take the entire thing and cut it in half. Actually, the best way is to like poach it first, in seasoned water, like a bouillon of some sort, until it's just tender, and then slice it in half, and then put it on the grill. That is delicious cauliflower. That's one of my favorite ways that I've ever had it. So yeah, any other cooking questions, random questions? Oh my god. Sometimes water, I just, I need it so badly, I just have to chug it. Alright, so this guy's getting a little too hot again. Come on, parents. What's up, Harn? How are you, man? Good, I hope. Alright. I'm gonna crank this oven. 200 is just to keep it warm, right? Like I was saying. Now we need to, blast it. 400, let's go. And then right at the end, we're gonna broil it for just a second to get nice color on those breadcrumbs. Oh, right. Dressing for the little salad. Alright, since we already have the sherry reduction, this guy, I just want a super, super light, easy vinaigrette for just to a super light dressing on those pea shoots. So, I always eyeball vinaigrette. I mean, the classic ratio is 3 parts oil, 1 part vinegar, salt, pepper to taste. And I don't really need that much, so I'm not going to make that much. So sherry vinegar is one of my favorite vinegars. It's got an inherent sweetness to it just because it's made from sherry wine. And I don't know, I absolutely love it. Alright, those guys are done. We're just going to let the pan do the rest of the work. Dude, balsamic is good too. White balsamic is even, I think, better than the normal kind. I love white balsamic vinegar. And if you ever have a chance to have a Banyuls vinegar like this, that is the bomb. That is like the Rolls Royce of vinegars. So I just, we're not making like an emulsified dressing, so it's fine if it's broken like this. I think the salt needs to kind of do its work. And again, working with acidity, something's too acidic usually for your palate. If you feel it in like the back of your mouth when you swallow, it's like that, kind of cloying feeling and sensation that you get. Makes you salivate a lot. That's when you know it's too acidic. Unless you really like that, and then that's totally cool, but generally speaking, that's the rule of thumb I use. Oh my god, when Gmart burned down our entire base because he left the it was the microwave, he left the microwave on. So yeah. Check out the color on those bad boys. Just a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Just cooked through, really nice. So like 15 minutes?
Okay, sure.
Or now?
Are you through with your?
No, I'm just the scallops have not hit the pan yet, and that's kind of
Okay, well, at least we're back, so
all right.
we are
Doing it. Doing it.
ready anytime.
All right. Cool. Oh, this pan? Oh, I could do this too. Ding. This one. I've had this for going on 5 years. I love it. All right. So the scallops, nice and dry. So when you look at scallops, you can see it's angled up this way, right? And this is the biggest face of the scallop, where it sits in the shell. This is the side you want to sear really nicely and present. So that's why I had them upside down. So now, just turn them all over. Actually, this one I can't tell. Some of them are like really flat, so it's kind of anybody's game at that point. This dog sheds so much. Oh my god! Get out of here! There's just like one hair like floating around from this dog. All right. I don't know what this is. All right, cool. So, pan's hot, obviously, because it's been heating up for the past 4 days. Medium heat. Just below smoking. Like, just below the oil smoking. Just little wisps of smoke coming off the oil is perfect. So, I like to season scallops by crushing the salt in my fingers. So you get a little bit more of an even spread. And then season, you always want to season meat and fish from, not like just putting the salt on it, but you know, from a decent height. So you get a nice, like, natural spread of the salt crystals. So yeah, no oil or anything on the scallops. We'll just deal with that in the pan. All right, so cool. I don't know if you can see this. Just smoking. All right. And you don't want to put them too close to each other, or else the steam that they're generating by being cooked like this will steam the outside of the other scallops and they'll overcook. So leave a nice space in between each one. And I did ramp up the heat just a little bit to kind of account for putting cold scallops in the pan. And then just a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of salt just to kind of, you know, because it's delicious. I don't really like pepper on scallops. That's why I put a bunch in the cauliflower and stuff, so. Oh yeah, brilliant. And just leave them. That's all you need to do is just leave them. So then I'm just changing out the paper on this plate so that we can put the scallops from the pan on here, drain a little bit of excess butter and oil. Alright, so the pan's getting a little warm. That's okay. Just kind of moving that fat around, making sure everything's still lubed up and happy. Yeah. So scallop flesh changes color as it cooks. I mean, actually all flesh does. But as they start to cook, you'll be able to see the change in color kind of rising up the side of the scallop, and you'll know when to flip and when to add butter and when to baste. Scallops are different colors just based on diet and kind of the waters that they come from. Even within the same bay or you know, whatever, they can ingest completely different things. So that's why some are like cream colored, some are a little bit pink, some are I've seen almost like a blue tint from really cold water, like really deep cold water scallops. Just kind of moving them, nudging them around a little bit to get some of the fat under the scallops a bit. God, that smells good. Definitely one of my favorite seafoods, raw and cooked. Just absolutely fantastic. Breadcrumbs are getting all nice and toasty. Yeah, exactly. Scallops, like fresh scallops, should be like a sweet ocean water smell. It shouldn't smell like fish or anything sour. It should just be like a nice, it should be very pleasant aroma. If you like seafood. If you don't like seafood, it's going to smell gross anyways, but. Get our little pea shoot guys ready. So anytime you're storing like loose picked herbs or greens, just a nice like damp, not wet, just lightly damp towel kind of encasing them in the fridge, and they'll keep for quite a while. All right. You guys are almost ready to flipperino. Because they look like scallops, because you cut them into rounds, like little round potatoes. I think this need just a little more loving. I was gonna put the cauliflower on that plate, but don't worry about that yet. All right. So, yeah, I like to use a spoon. Oh yeah. Butter in. Now you can put them together. The steam of the butter is going to cook them anyways, so. And blast the heat. Brown the butter a little bit. It'll just make the scallops taste, I mean, that much better. And if this were like a different kind of fish or meat, you know, maybe throwing some garlic and thyme, fresh thyme in here to baste with would be good. But because scallops are so delicate in flavor on their own, I don't really want to cover them up. So just butter. That is like, man, those are perfect scallops almost. And I like my scallops on the mid-rare side for sure. Just warmed in the middle, not entirely cooked, but just warm. So a couple more moments of this, and I think we'll be there. I have been talking to you too much, Lucas. And by Lucas, I mean Nutures. You're all the same person to me. Just kidding, because you both have the same color, which confuses me sometimes. Because I'm used to IRC, where I don't see any colors on people's names, but I don't have IRC on my laptop, so. Alright. I'm betting these dogs are done. And they'll continue to cook just a little bit due to the heat of the fat and the pan, and you know, just because they're already warm. So taking them out a skosh early, never really a bad thing. All right, there's that. I'm actually gonna go. Everybody on one plate. Alright, I don't know where I want to plate this. Probably just right here. Alright. None of those are on. Great. Brilliant. Check those guys out. All right, so I'm just taking the kind of the room temp chill off of the plate. You never really want to put food on a stone cold plate. All right, so another little spoon for this guy. Just giving the dressing a little mix. And then just really light. I don't want it to be drowning in there. Tiny bit of salt. I need another cam. I need like an overhead camera. I need like this but over there. So yeah, just lightly dressed. Always taste. Super delicious. Really happy with that. Alright. I'm actually going to plate all three of these at the same time, so. Real tight over here. In retrospect, I think the cauliflower is a little too big, some of it, but it's gonna be okay. It's all gonna be okay. All right. Boom. All right. So that's that, basically. So yeah. Scallops and cauliflower. Yeah, I mean, it looks good. I'm using pea shoots. So just the little tops of the pea shoot. All right. Then these are ripping hot. Boom. Maybe just a touch of olive oil on the top of these guys for a little more moisture. I think just a touch of olive oil on these guys too. So yeah, that's the boogie right there, ladies and gentlemen. That's the boogie. Well, now it's time for all of us to go eat this stuff that I've made. So, yeah. Thanks everybody for coming out. I'm glad everything worked this time. So, this is going to happen every Saturday. Again, until my laptop breaks again. But yeah. If you guys have any recipes or any food you guys want to see, just shoot me a message and, you know, we'll fit it in somewhere. I'm going to kind of break away from the setup that I had before. I just don't, I don't know. I'd much rather just go to the market and see, like, what looks good and, like, what we can make, like, that day. So, maybe, you know, maybe we'll have some planned out stuff every once in a while, but I think it's just going to be kind of off the cuff, a little bit more my style, I guess, instead of like cooking show informative whatever, like techniques and this and that. That'll come like with cooking the stuff that I do, like everything, you know, bunch of different techniques in this, kind of going to be the same moving forward. So thanks again, and I will be streaming games probably Monday, maybe tomorrow, but maybe not. So yeah, thank you so much. See you out there.